Okay, let's start with the first module where we actually are digging into Microsoft Fabric, and this is an overview of three small things. This is from the blog, you can read it. The first thing is the playground, what tools are we going to use? Then we have the roles. Microsoft offers a lot of roles, and we want to see the benefit of Fabric compared to these roles. A role could be a data analyst, it could be an AI analyst, it could be a data engineer. We now want to see how they work together in Microsoft Fabric instead of they're using their own tools. And then we have the setup. There are some things you need to know. The way I've done it is I've written a little some few comments here, and then I added some links that you should read. So first off, the picture you see here is actually the most important picture you will see on the entire course. If we start in the middle, then we have something called OneLake, and OneLake is the data storage for Fabric. You can upload any type of data that you want, but we have one type that we often use, or we will be forced to use when we use some functionalities. So imagine OneLake is like a C drive or a common shared drive on the network. It is a drive where data is stored in some kind of format, and the format you are going to learn here is called Parquet. And Parquet files are something you must learn. If you have not read about it earlier, then you have to click on Parquet format, Azure Data Factory and Azure Synapse. So if I click on that one, then I can read a little bit about what it is. There's a lot of things, or you can actually just Google for more, but you need to understand what Parquet format is. Also about the OneLake, if you don't know what a OneLake is, then you can read it here. The OneDrive for data. Microsoft says it themselves. It is a cloud drive where you can store data. That's it. When you have realized that I go back here, that you have understood what OneLake is, and you can store whatever you want, but you often store Parquet files or CSV files or TXT files, then we are looking up at the different areas of Microsoft Fabric, and we have data factory, data engineering, data warehouse, data science, and so on and so on and so on. You can read it yourself while I'm talking. Today we have a certain amount of tools. Tomorrow we will have double amount of tools, and in 10 years we will have many more tools. For now, the interesting part is how do we get data into OneLake, how do we process the data, and how do we read them. And that is what I'm going to give you a short introduction to in a few minutes. So in this module you have to be familiar with OneLake, and you have to know these areas that are fits with the areas you saw in the left corner of Power BI in the previous post. I will show it to you again. And then we have a lot of things here called unified. And basically, I will not go into all of them now, but what I will say is security and governance. With Fabric, we get some predefined tools to govern. For example, we get Purview, we get some reports to see usage and a lot of things. So this is not just about using the tools and store the data. This is also you get a complete framework around so that you can see if you have sensitive data. You can see how they are used. You can see what reports are used, what data sets are used, and so on and so on. This is something we will get more into in other posts also. So for now, in this module, it's important that you know we have something called OneLake, and OneLake is our data storage. And on top of that, we have a lot of tools that we can start using, and they are grouped into these boxes you can see up here. I have added links to all the things you need to know, and I suggest that you click on each link and then you just try to read at least the top 5 to 10 lines just to understand it. If you want more, then you can dig into them. But this is some nice links that you need to learn. The other thing is that early on, when we had independent tools, then different persons in a company worked in different tools. Now we want to try to have all roles to work together in one tool in Microsoft Fabric. So You can see the roles up here: data engineers, analytics engineer, data scientist, data analyst, decision maker. Except for decision makers, then Microsoft offers courses in all these roles. So when I started taking Microsoft classes for many years ago, I became a specialist in SQL Server 2000 something. It could be 2005 or 2008 or whatever I wanted to become a specialist in. It was a product-dependent specialty that I took. Now it is role-based instead. So if I become a data engineer, then Microsoft knows, and I know, that I can use some certain tools. On this picture you see here, then actually what it's trying to say is that, okay, if you're a data scientist, then instead of using 10 different tools, then use the tools that we have in Fabric, perhaps with some extra tools also, but always start in Fabric to see what you have. If you are a data engineer, then perhaps you want to use real-time analytics. Everything is included or closely connected to Microsoft Fabric. You will get questions for the exam. I don't know the questions, but I'm quite sure you will get questions to the exam about these roles and the functionalities. Therefore, I have also linked to the most important roles, not to number 2, analytical engineers. That would probably be us. But more or less you can click and then you can read about them also. The last thing you will learn in this module is about the setup. You have to learn the pricing model, you have to learn the administration, you have to learn something called Purview and in general in governance. 3 and 4 will not be covered here, it will be covered a little bit later. The most important part, if you ask me, is the pricing. You can buy Fabric in different ways, but there's no doubt about it, this page you need to know that how much does Fabric cost. So if I choose, for example, Denmark, and I want to have it in Sweden Central, for example, then I can go down here, and then I can see this column called SKU. You can see F2, 4, 8, 16. This is really nice for us nerds. I've been an IT nerd since I was 14 years old. So we know this is something, these numbers we know out of hand, it doubles all the time. And the first one costs around 2,000, then it increases, more or less doubles up. It's not completely double up, but it will double up in some way. The benefit is that if you get over a certain F level, then you get more and more benefits. But until you reach that level, then what you get extra is simply more compute power. You can do more. It's called capacity units, probably because then we don't understand what it means. So you can start with the cheapest one and you can also reserve them. Then you get a big and a huge saving. And this is actually a very huge saving. So think about that. You can see the most expensive one is here. So you should read this one and understand how pricing is actually working. Great. I will give you a demonstration now. So I will remove this one. And first of all, I told you that this OneLake is the most critical part in Fabric because this is here our common data platform is where we store all our data. So when we are 100% implemented Microsoft Fabric, then we have all our data somehow in OneLake. I can go to OneLake through a lakehouse or whatever I want to, but I can also install a tool on my Windows machine called OneLake File Explorer. So I download this one here and I click open and I click install like this, and then it comes up, do you want to log in? And I of course log in here, and I think there it was. No. And now I'm signed in, and what I got from this is I actually got in my File Explorer here, I got a new point called OneLake. It's a preview, and here I have all my folders, all my workspaces. So if I, for example, now go to, let's see, where are we? Here, go to my workspace called, let me choose another one, where do we have it? Here, Introduction to Fabric. Then I click on my data model. I have a bronze, a silver, gold, and a demo. I choose bronze. And here I have some tables, and I try to see, do I have some files? You can see I have a lot of files called something with AdventureWorks. So I go to my One Lake Explorer, find my folder, and then I find bronze layer, and I click Files, and you can see I have the same here. This is really nice because I can use that in another way now. So in previous post, I created a workspace called DP600 Fabric Exam. I click on that. I have a lakehouse, and in that lakehouse I have files. It's empty. So I will actually try to find some files somewhere here. And I would take the I will take a CSV file called product. Where do we have it? Here. Oh, sorry. Let me try again. Production. Anyway, I take customers instead. It doesn't matter. A, B, C. Okay. I don't know what I want to take. Give me a second. I can take the sales customer here. There. I copy that one. And then I go over to my Explorer on the files and I paste the file here. So I go back to my browser and I click on Workspaces. I click on DP600 Fabric, and then I have this lakehouse called Demo 1. If you can't remember it, then remember that a lakehouse is a place where you can find your data. You can upload data to it. I click Demo. I click Files. And I think I must just wait a little bit. There it is. You see I have my file now. So actually I can actually upload files to my One Lake through my computer. That's really nice. Just an example. I can do it in many other ways. I'll show you that later in a later post. But for now, I have uploaded something here as a file for my lakehouse. Now the problem is if I want to use this as a table in my SQL server, then I have to do a lot of work in a SQL server. Here, I simply just click on the three dots on the file and I click Load to a new table. Then it says it does not contain, this is the space that is the problem. I guess the separator is this, and I click Load. And now I just wait a little bit. The higher capacity you have bought, the lesser time you have to wait here. I'm a poor guy, so I simply just have to wait a little bit. So that's it, successfully created. So now here I have sales customer. I can see my sales table, and now I can use it no matter how much I want it. So I can click here. I can say, okay, I want to have a notebook. I want to analyze my newly data as a notebook. Click Lakehouse, sales customers. I click Load Data. This is, while it is running, then I will tell you, this is the most brilliant thing. It's fantastic. You simply have a CSV file, you copy paste it in your local file explorer, and then now I'm actually doing analysis on this table. I don't care if it's a table, how it works beneath in the Fabric engine. For now, I just uploaded a file, and now I'm actually doing analysis on this. And now you can see, now I have the table with all my data, and I can do whatever analysis I want to do. I click Code. On the other hand, if I am a SQL guy, then I could still go into my lakehouse. Lakehouses are so important. We'll talk about that in the next post, but I have my data here. So if I'm a SQL guy, then I go to my SQL analytical endpoint, and then I can make SQL statements, I can use Visual Query. If I don't know how to write SQL statements, I can use Visual Query. I drag the sales customer here, like this. I decide to choose what fields I want to have, so I just choose fields here. I want to have the customer ID, store ID, account number, and that's it. I have this. Then I could try to do whatever I wanted to. I could only want to have top 10. And now I'm actually on my CSV file created a SQL statement that I can use. I could also take this here and click on model and then go to reporting, manage default semantic model, and add my sales customers here. It takes a little while. And then I could work with it like I do in Power BI or whatever I do. But what I prefer to do is simply just go out of all this. And then on my semantic model here in my lakehouse, I simply just click explore this data. And then I have my tables and I can say, okay, give me store ID and then give me account number. Some of store, I will move store ID up here, and then I will tag account ID to value, and I will try to see what I could do. First off, customer, first summarize, count, distinct here, and then I can see the different ones, and I could try to see if I could change the visual, whatever I want to, or hide it, or no matter what. I have created a simple Power BI exploration, so I could save it. Or I could click down here and I could see save as report. I'll call the report Demo 1 or Demo 2, it doesn't matter, 1, 2. And now actually, basis of a comma separated file, I now have a Power BI report that I can work with as I want to work with it. So having a comma separated file, I uploaded it to my lakehouse through files, File Explorer. I then started to analyze in Python, I analyzed in SQL, and I created a Power BI report. And it took me less than 17 minutes because I've been recording for 17 minutes now. So this is actually what you are going to work with. Get data in, get it ready for presentation, and let people use it for presentation.